Remember my name, remember us, yes. And how we're making a change. Yes. La lucha sigue.
La lucha sigue!
Hey guys, I'm Carri Twigg. We all know the world is messed up. Whether it's Trump's latest lie, mass incarceration, environmental destruction, or racist drug laws. There's a whole lot to be outraged about, and it can all leave you feeling helpless. But you can make a difference, and I'm here to tell you how, issue by issue. I've worked in the Obama White House, on several political campaigns, full disclosure, all for Democrats, and in the nonprofit world trying to get people like us to care more about politics. All to get elected officials to look at, understand, and work for people like us. I'm here today to talk about first-time voters and the upcoming midterm elections. If you haven't already heard, the midterms are just around the corner. This November, voters across the country will decide who is elected to 435 House seats and 35 Senate seats. On top of that, we'll decide the governors of 36 states and 3 territories, and a whole lot more. It's called the midterm elections because it comes halfway through the 4-year term of the president, meaning that this year, Trump isn't on the ballot. But historically, voters use the midterm elections as an indirect way of saying how they feel about the job the president is doing. Way too often, we hear that young people don't care about politics and aren't sophisticated enough to participate. But hopefully the events of this year, from activism around gun control to the Black Lives Matter movement and beyond, have proven that young people are the ones making the most change in America. And we are about to have the biggest test yet, the number of votes actually cast in this year's election. A few weeks back, I talked to members of March for Our Lives during their Road to Change bus tour. March for Our Lives is a movement dedicated to student-led activism around ending gun violence and the epidemic of mass shootings in our schools. The movement grew out of the horrific Stoneman Douglas High School shooting in Parkland, Florida. One survivor of that shooting, David Hogg, was with me for this interview. He was joined by young activists Edna Chavez, Alex King, and Ramon Contreras. The bus tour was created in large part to get young people to register and vote in these upcoming midterms. Edna told me why that's so important.
Well, we all feel like it's very important for youth to not only get their voices out there, but to also let those in office know what's up, that we know what's going on and we know what we want.
But why now? And what's the goal? David Hogg shared that getting young people involved is the only way to make sure that our representatives really represent us and not lobbyists or special interests.
This is the first chance that we've had since the march to prove to politicians that the youth are paying attention, and it's time to let the youth take lead. You know, the average age in Congress is over 50 years old. The average age in America is it's less than 40. And we have to make a representative Congress that's not only representative of us demographically, but ideologically. We have to have a Congress that actually represents our interests as constituents and living human beings, and not the interests of special interests and corporations like the National Rifle Association, the Gun Owners of America, or the gun lobby.
A small increase in voter turnout among people like you can make a huge difference. According to the folks from March for Our Lives, less than 20% of young people vote in midterm elections. Even a tiny jump in participation could mean huge impact on Election Day. One of the key issues for the young Road to Change activists is, of course, gun control. Ramon told me that even after all the mass shootings of the past few years, people like him who want common sense gun reform are still fighting to be heard.
So these midterm elections is important because after the tragedy in Parkland, Stoneman Douglas, it was clear that this is an issue that's been going on for way too long. It should have ended in Sandy Hook, but unfortunately, it had to take multiple more mass shootings in schools to actually get this issue on the forefront, even after it's been going on for years in Black and brown communities, right?
All of this can seem overwhelming, especially if it's your first time voting. How do you even know where to start? The key first step, the Road to Change, people told me, make sure to research the candidates yourself and not just rely on which person has the most or best commercials. And once you're up to speed, share your new knowledge with your friends and your family. Alex broke it down.
The face and the name that pops up the most tends to be the face and the name that get picked. And it's not much like when we get these names, we don't Google them, we don't search them up, we don't get the education. We see off a screen and it's like, okay, I'm gonna pick you because you look familiar. I've seen you on TV and things like that. So just educating not only yourself, but the people around you.
If you really want change, you can always step up and run for office yourself. There are a lot of offices that you can hold when you're as young as 18. If you're not registered to vote, it isn't too late. Visit rockthevote.org and make your voice heard. And remember, being registered isn't enough. You need to actually vote. Make sure you join me next time when we'll be talking bail reform, criminal justice, and of course, Kim Kardashian. For Complex News, I'm Carri Twigg.